Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome out to your currency market recap. This is Ankit here, and let's begin our market coverage. It's a Tuesday, February the 20th. Let's get into it. Hope everyone had a good long weekend, and it's time to get back in the swing of things. So let's break down today's market price action by doing a top-down analysis, taking a look at broader market, taking a look at what's happening in the currency market, taking a look at currency baskets, and then talk about the possible setups ahead. Let's get into it.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional stock and option traders. Maverick Trading is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
So looking at our market analysis again, let's jump in right into the headline. So today the market did pull back. The equity markets were weaker overall. Remember, the equity market has been on a big run since November. So getting some minor pullbacks here and there. We'll see what happens. But so far, markets again overall remains really bullish. Outside of the U.S. equity markets, it was a muted price action in the currencies. The Canadian dollar did weaken after that CPI week report. I was definitely surprised with the weaker print. Since we had a hotter print out of the U.S., seems like there's a divergence happening between the U.S. and Canada right now. Usually we see everything's kind of in line with expectations for both. So taking a look at performance overall, as you can see, it was not a blockbuster day. Again, nothing more than 0.5% move. That's not a great trading day. Canadian dollar down only 0.37% overall. You can see the Aussie and the Kiwi were stronger along with the euro and pound. But outside of that, dollar was mostly flat. The yen was flat. The Swiss franc was flat. So we're not really seeing a big move in the currency markets, something we'll have to continue looking for in the next 24 hours. Similar kind of thing in the overall markets. You can see S&P was down 0.6%. The VT, World Stock Index, down 0.27. Cryptos were down, gold was up, and then oil was down. So a bit of a mixed sort of price action across the board. Same thing in the crypto markets. You can see the Bitcoin was slightly higher, but Ethereum was strong. But then look at the Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin, they were really weak. So price action definitely was all over the place in the crypto market. Now looking at the score overall in our market outlook, has anything changed? If you take a look at the chart, we are still above the 20 and the 50-day moving average. So far we still have a +3 outlook on the markets. I mean, you can see that we are in this 2-day pullback. This kind of reminds me a little bit here. Lately, the buyers have come in on these pullbacks. What we need to see is that does the buyers start to stop coming in, and then the selling comes in, profit taking comes in. That's where we'll see a bit of a change in the market routine. But so far, market seems to be on pretty much an autopilot, which means that as long as you're buying overall, you're doing better in the market. So as always with traders, we want to be making sure that we know when those turning points are happening. We are not at the turning point yet. Still a pullback, but if we break below this 20 moving average, I think that's where we'll need to pair down some of our strength in the markets. But outside of that, our outlook remains at a +3. Nothing really has changed technically. Now, looking at the schedule here again, the CPI numbers out of the Canada's out. You can see that it was weaker across the board, which is again sort of a bad news for the Canadian dollar, but good news for Bank of Canada because then they don't need to raise, or they can talk about cutting rates in the next coming months. Now we have the FOMC meeting minutes tomorrow. Overall, the FOMC has definitely paired some of his, dovishness that we saw in November, December. So we'll see what happens on this one. I think the important one on Thursday or Friday, or actually most of the data is coming on Thursday, is the services and the manufacturing PMI numbers out of the Eurozone and out of the US. I mean, that will, again, move the dollar, move the bond yields, and move the equity markets. But till then, I think it's not a whole lot of worries as far as the news event goes. So let's jump into our currency analysis and take a look at velocity scores. So you can see that velocity scores right now Euro is showing relative strength. Dollar did pull back, but I do want to be buyer on the dollar. I don't like dollar on the short side. We have seen the dollar either going sideways or higher. So let's play the markets as we are seeing where the trends are going. We are seeing a continuation in that trend in the Swiss franc, which we'll be paying attention to today. We're talking about all the Swiss franc crosses. We're seeing some relative strength Aussie and Kiwi. Let's see in the charts of what kind of gas do we have left in these two currencies, or are they really in line to break out? I mean, those are the ones we need to pay attention to. Pound is right in the middle, so we're not really seeing a whole lot of velocity on there as well. So let's focus on what's really moving, not just in the velocity, but as far as the trend score goes as well. So let's take a look at our possible trades ahead.
Do you want to be a professional trader? Maverick Currencies is the oldest US-based Forex and crypto prop trading company that will pay you for trading with our capital. Trade our capital and keep 70 to 80% of the profits. We are looking for traders just like you that are hardworking and motivated. Click the apply link on the top right of this video to see if you have what it takes. That link takes you to a 4-minute video that explains the trader position available, and you read a list of FAQs that answer pretty much all the basic questions you have at this point. After watching the video and reading the FAQs, if you're interested, fill out an application, then you'll watch the full-length recruiting video, and then schedule an interview with one of our traders. Are you our next trader?
So looking at the possible trade heads, let me talk about first currency that I want to take a look at is the Swiss franc. You can see how strong Swiss franc has been since last year. So, overall, you can see every pullback has been sort of bought out. Now here we are seeing this trend that's kind of breaking lower a little bit as we go in the lower time frame. You can see that now on the trend score we are below the parabolic SAR, below the moving average, the 13-day exponential moving average. The RSI is moving lower. I do like Swiss franc more to the short side than to the upside. On the other hand, the euro on its counterpart is not falling down as the Swiss franc is. Take a look at 4-hour chart, it's going higher. So the first pair I really want to take a look at is euro Swiss franc. Slow moving pair, but you can see on a daily chart a beautiful sort of a breakout off the little basing pattern here. So it did break out above that 95.12. Is sitting at 95.31. I still like to the upside. Again, this thing hasn't really gone too far out, but as you can see, if you take a look at the longer term charts, this thing has also been trending strongly lower. And if I just draw this trend line here, it seems like the last time we got above that trend line was back in November and December. They just fell apart. But right now, on this daily chart, it looks pretty good here. On a 4-hour chart, same thing, sideways pattern, as moving higher. So now the question always comes to is which time frame should I trade on? And lately, with low volatility environment, I like to be on higher time frame. So I like to be on a 4-hour chart. So on a 4-hour chart, if I make this setup here, we just got broken out right here at about 95, 16, or 17. So we haven't gone too far up from that range. I'm going to be looking for going long and putting a stop right below this moving average here at about 95. So I like the risk to reward on this one, but just realize that this is a slow moving currency pair. So we want to be in for a little bit longer. Now let's take a look at CAD. So the Canadian dollar today comes out weaker. We saw a bit of a drop here. Question is, could the Canadian dollar could weaken further? I mean, it did break below this low moving average there. And if you take a look at the dollar is holding it steady. Still looks like a little pullback to me here. So dollar CAD is the one that I do like on the upside, especially if the divergence start to play out with this movement today. Here's the resistance level, which is about 135.42. Looking for a further break up to that 136.20 area. So that's another one I'll be paying attention to. Let's take a look at other currency pairs, all the Swiss franc currency pairs. I want to take a look at Aussie and Kiwi and see, okay, what kind of movement is left here. So you can see that the Kiwi has nicely broken above the resistance here. We've got a nice little tail today. So maybe it'll due for a little pullback, but I think this one is looking up a little bit promising here. Let's say with the Aussie, Aussie doesn't look that best here. Again, I think Kiwi definitely looks better, but outside of the Kiwi, I think the money could just go into the dollar. Maybe dollar Swiss franc. We can take a look at along the lines. You can see a beautiful a base, a breakout. We got a resistance here. As long as it stays above the moving average, the stop right below that 87.50 area, and looking for a further breakout above that. I think I would like this setup as well for tomorrow. Dollar yen, you can see just making a little base here. Remember, we don't want to be playing these little pullbacks. We want to be playing the overall move, which is still to the upside. So these are the ones that I'm really paying attention to. Again, if the Swiss franc continues to weaken, we can take a look at Kiwi Swiss franc as well. You can see that beautiful breakout range off this area. Look at a lot of overhead resistance. It's just broken out. So whenever you see a breaking out like that, we can see a bit of a pullback to buy into. So those are the ones that I will be, again, primarily paying close attention to. But also, let's keep an eye on the equity markets as well. So if the equity market does weaken, I think the money will then go into the dollar. And in that case, dollar CAD goes on the top of the list. That's another one pair that I'm taking a look at on a 4-hour chart, especially above this area, 35.40. I do like dollar Swiss franc on a 4-hour chart off this pullback. And then I also like Euro Swiss franc. So these are the pairings that I do like here. I think Euro Swiss franc looks the best to me overall. So that's the game plan here. In conclusion, Swiss franc yen weak, Euro Kiwi stronger, and then also taking a look at the dollar process as well. Remember, volatility is low. Make sure that you are taking handful of positions, keeping your trades to the minimum. Look at what's moving. Just go focus on that one and don't make too many trades when volatility is lower in the markets. Thanks for joining. Have a good rest of the evening. We'll see you guys in the next update. Cheers.